with the question in particular, equity is like how you end up so that you end up at the same
Yeah,
point
like,
for every single person, while equality gives everyone the same opportunity,
yep,
but not necessarily puts them at the same point at the end of the day.
yep. So
Yeah, it's like that
it's
fence.
the fans, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, you have equality, which is everyone gets the same size box, and there's equity where, um, well, I'm presenting what should be equity right now. So everyone gets the size of box that they need in order to look over the fence. While
Mhm.
if it was equality, they would just have the same box. So the box would be way too high for one, would be correct for the middle one, and would be absolutely bad for the lower one. Like in that view, everyone should answer equity when losing this loose uh, way of describing things, because equality is wildly unable to answer the issue, right? It's not able to fix the problem. But here again, we need to look problem per problem, and or maybe you're answering you answer equality in that. I don't know. I'll just get my water, but I'm hearing you. So yeah, if you maybe answer the question, and maybe then I'll be able to understand where you're getting with this.
Uh, Personally, I am like keep in mind I'm not really employed yet, so like getting this stuff as an opinion is kind of iffy. But I personally feel that equality is more valuable in the sense that like
Hmm.
mostly the if everyone's paying the same amount for everyone else in via taxes, it just seems most fair. But that's mostly an opinion. Like
That's
I could
okay.
understand.
That's okay. But here, like you're saying, it's an opinion. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is that's what I've what I've looked throughout my life. This leads me to this specific thing. Seems to be optimal. Seems to be the most fair. That's what you mean by opinion, right?
Mhm.
And that's okay, right? I'm not saying that you're a bad person for believing a thing. What I'm saying here is that even if you're stating opinion still has value, and we should still like seek to change someone else's opinion if you think that the opinion is wrong. So here, yes, I do believe that your opinion is wrong, so I will seek to change it. And don't feel as if I'm attacking some part of your character, because I'm not. There's a lot of people that think like you. I do happen to think that they're wrong, so I'll make the argument for it. But here, in this example, the equality option makes sure that everyone is worse off. The person that is taller is getting something that they don't need. The person in the middle is getting something that is that is okay for them, and the person at the top, well, they're not getting enough. The smallest person is not getting enough. So here, equity, if we just like calculate the numbers of winners in this example, is the way that we should go. But again, this is like a dumbing down of real life. Let's look at real life now. What happens if we say that we have a flat tax rate, right? Everyone pays the same 50% tax rate on their income. Let's say that that's what we need in order to fund our state. Well, if you're rich, that 50% is easy to do because you already have a bunch of revenue coming in. You cut your 50%, you're good to go. If you're poor, 50% of your $15,000, like that would be a retardedly small amount of money, but if you're like cutting 50% of your 15% of your $15,000 income, that is a massive cut. You're going from a place that maybe you were able to like live a very sad life to you're not able to live your life anymore. So even if we're talking about the same percentage, for one person, it's life-threatening, and for another, well, it's just as it is. You just continue life as it goes. So here, when I'm saying that, I'm essentially making the argument for the way that taxes work in the US and Canada, which you have steps. So if you make over this amount of money, so let's say 50K, I don't know, 50K, you pay a higher tax rate and then a higher tax rate, and you have these steps. So this is why we have these steps, is because under a specific threshold, you're probably struggling hard. So we're not seeking to tax you in any way, or we're seeking to give you a bunch of benefits, which is true for the lowest 20% of Canadian and most likely of Americans. So when I'm telling you essentially this story, do you see anything wrong with that? Yeah.
I think like with how taxes work with the steps, I personally think it's a reasonable way to do it, just because of the fact if someone has an excess amount of money in as income, you can easily just say, okay, you're going to lose a little bit of it, but you're still making a fair amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like the issue here, like I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not clear in my question. Between that and a flat, everyone pays the same rate, and it's essentially just a little bit under the highest rate on your chart, because that's what it would need to be if we need to tax at the same rate. So let's say that we have a world where effectively, if you're under $50K per year, if your income is under 50K, you pay 0%. The effective tax rate with like the money that you're getting from the government and the money that you're paying in taxes, it cancel out. And over that, you're paying, let's say, 15%, and somewhere at the top, you're paying 50%. So let's say that over $1 million, okay, you're paying 50%. But then let's create the flat tax rate version of that. You would be paying, let's say, 45%. For everyone. Do you think that it's preferable to live inside of the 45% for everyone, or on that stepped system where the rich will pay a little bit more and it looks wildly unfair if you're rich compared to if you're poor? Which do you prefer in that? Like your opinion on
I
that?
personally prefer on the stair step style of taxing, just for like income and whatever.
Yeah. So that's like I believe that's the way that it works. I believe that's an okay way to work. So then, like, to address the equality and equity thing, right now we're looking at equity on the income side, on the revenue side. So now let's apply essentially the same thing, but to how we distribute benefits. So here, what we can do, we have two options. So we have the, you've probably heard of that. You seem to be someone that likes to listen to these things. So UBI, so the Universal Basic Income. So we could have a universal basic income of, let's say, $5,000, 5K. Per person, everyone gets it, right? Have you heard of UBI before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, all good. I just wanted to be sure. So, okay, so 5,000 per person. Let's say everyone in the US or in Canada gets that 5,000. Now, let's say that we have another policy which says the lowest 20%, they get 25K instead. Per person. Or maybe we can make a step thing a little bit like the income. So the lowest they get, the lowest 20, they get 15%. The lowest 40, they get 7,500 and something. And the I guess the top 60%, I don't know how I would phrase it, would get 2,500 and something. So like, let's do the steps for that. Which one is preferable in your view? And, well, even before you answer, let me just say 5,000 as a poor person is a lot. But I would much more have the 15,000. And if you're rich, that 15,000, it truly doesn't matter to you. Okay? If you're if you're making over $200,000 a year, I'm sorry, but the 15,000 is it's wasted on you, or the $5,000 is wasted on you. Sorry. So
Yeah, it's like a drop in the ocean.
yeah. So why would we give money to someone who truly won't feel it, while we can make the world of difference to the people in the lower quadrant of society? And here, if you want a real world, like where this was done for real, it's in Canada. In Canada, we have something called the Canadian Child Benefit. So if you have a child and you're part of the poorest 20%, well, I don't know what percentage, but if you're part of the poorest people in the country, which I do fall under, you will get a shitload of money from the government. So currently I do get $600 per month. So we can like make the calculus. That means $7,200 being dropped tax-free in my bank account for me to take care of my daughter, plus the fact that they pay for most of the childcare cost. So when we look at that system, where someone like me, which, well, I don't believe that I'm struggling, but I'm still in the lowest 20% of my society, I'm getting that huge leg up where I'm able to actually live a very dignified and very good life. But if I didn't have that, if you remove, let's say, that childcare and that extra income, well, then it would be a way tighter way to live. It would be way harder. I would have to fight for the daycare. I would have to fight for enough income to clothe and feed my daughter. So, like, in that world, what makes no difference to the rich person makes a world of difference for the poor person. So in that way, wouldn't it be preferable to have those stepped benefit? Right?
I just don't like here in Michigan, the only benefits we really get if we're not getting a whole lot of money is EBT or SNAP benefits. So you can end up with like food stamps so that you can pay for your food.
Yeah,
But
that's federal. Yep.
I know people that literally are like, oh yeah, let's go to the store. I'll let you use my food stamps and you just pay me the money you would have paid. So now you're left with a whole lot less.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that. So here, when I'm saying you're attacking, there's no negative connotation here. I just want to frame things correctly. But when you're what you're attacking, there's multiple things, but there's one thing that I just want to kind of remove because I don't think that it fits with the discussion. So when you're saying essentially someone can say, oh, I'm going to buy with my food stamp something and you're going to give me back the money, this is technically fraud. That's bad. But at a place, I don't care about it. And I'll go even further than that. I think that the idea of food stamps, maybe we should just give a blank amount of money to these people and stop caring so much about where they spend the money, because at the end of the day, it's all fungible, right? So if you pay less for your groceries, you're going to be able to spend more on other things. So if you pay less for your groceries, you're going to spend more on drugs if you're a bad person, or you could spend more on good things. The idea here, when you give out, like when the government gives me that $600 for my daughter, they're not saying that I cannot buy alcohol with it and beat my daughter, okay? I could be a very bad fucking father still with those benefits. But what it allows me to do is, if I'm a good person, if I truly want to give my daughter a chance in this world and I want to be the best person possible, I will be able to because of that. So I would argue the same thing with food stamps, where maybe they're trying to do fraud. Some people are trying to do fraud or are trying to essentially use food stamp for something that it wasn't meant to do. But at the end of the day, that doesn't remove anything from the goal of food stamps, nor does it remove anything from all of the people that use it correctly and see very great benefits to them. So I'm just trying to section off the part about fraud, okay? So now that we have addressed that, I believe that in the US, you have a weird way of looking at the state, and because of that, you're never able to truly enjoy a good state. Most people in the US... Repeat?
Sorry, come again?
I haven't heard you. You said something and it cut out.
I just stated that I love my state personally.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm not saying that you don't love your state. I'm just saying that you don't have to... You're not able to enjoy your government. Like you... and when I'm saying that, it's so foreign to you, and I know it because Canadians do consume a lot of US media. It's weird. Anyway, okay. In Canada, when you're fucked, okay, when you're down on your luck, the government will save your ass. The government saved my ass. I felt that Canadian warmth of essentially looking at me as the poorest I could be and making sure that I get out of that bad situation and live a dignified life. That's wholly because Trudeau passed good policies and now I'm able to live a good life. So I feel that, right? I won't unsee that, right? But you in the US, because of your overall view of how government should be small, how government should never spend too much, you end up never going for these transformatives and these big change that actually impact people's life. Like food stamp is great, but it's not $600 in your bank account every month so that you can find good childcare, so that you can find and clothe your child. It's not trying to make investments in education and making sure that everyone has access to education without it costing a fuck ton, right? It's not these big things that you can see and feel. So you have this issue where you never see where the government helps you. It does a little bit, but you never really see it. But in Canada, because we went for those big change, we feel it a lot. If you're fucked, of course, you feel it a lot. So here, like, I don't know how I could argue to you that a Canadian system could be superior because I cannot point to something that works in the US that actually does this, right? It's impossible to. Maybe if I research Michigan,
maybe it's the fact that it's the US and we kind of work differently.
Well, yes and no. Of course you work different, but there's a way where I can say there's some things in the US that are just like bad, but they're just like there's no other way to put it. It's not like an opinion. It's just like straight bad.
The
right?
Homelessness rates in big cities are kind of crazy.
Right. So if you have a lot of homeless people, these people are not living a dignified life. They're not living a good life. Wouldn't it be good to try to invest money so at least they have some kind of like temporary housing? Do you think that would be a good idea? Like if we could find them not luxury homes, but just like a shelter, like you need to reduce the standard for building because it's so shitty, but they have a shelter. They're not in the street dying when it gets cold, right? Would that be preferable than just saying, well, it's their problem and we'll leave like some church taking care of it?
What I think would be preferable, at least if it were able to be possible this way, I know it's not just because of how life is, but go and relocate these unhoused people to areas that are much more affordable to be able to house people so that you can just go and build a couple buildings, not cost a couple $100 million to be able to do it for just a city and end up with the same result.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that the government is kind of... Wait a second. my trash just fell over and I don't want it to destroy the whole street. So give me half a second. Okay, trash restored. So, the thing. Shit, I forgot where we were. The trash truly. Oh, okay, yes, you were saying we could build the houses a bit further away where it doesn't cost too much. I agree with that, and I think that a lot of governments are trying to do that now. But that's what I wanted to get at when I said reduce the standards, right? You reduce the standards to build some housing for them, and you build them in the most appropriate space so that you can spend the least amount of money. But also you need to understand when it comes to, well, unhoused people, homeless people, I don't fucking know what to call them. These people, they need to technically make their money like begging or searching the trash or whatever the fuck. So if you put them too far from the city, you end up with them not coming because they cannot make money. They cannot like survive really. So they're just going to end up being stuck inside with a bunch of other homeless people, not making any money, any progress in their life. And then, of course, homeless people probably have mental illness and a bunch of other problems. That's not a place that you really want to be long. So yeah, there's like all of these issues. It's a complex issue, but here, the goal of the initial inquiry was essentially putting money there is clearly talking about equity, not equality, but we should still do it, right?
That is reasonable.
So here, if we go back to the very start of the discussion, I have a hard time understanding where the equality comes in and how we can look even at a system like Michigan, which I would say is far more close to the equal than the equity if we look at, if we compare with Canada, of course, with Quebec. Like, where do we see more equality, or where do we see a push towards equality being superior? I would like to know which policies or what you're, like when you're thinking about this, are you thinking about specific policies?
I can't really think of any particular policies. When I think of equality, I'm mostly thinking about how like, if you want a job, you have just as good of a chance as anyone else that also doesn't have a job. Like, I feel that's almost equality, but that's not really how it even works in Michigan. Like, if you don't have a job and haven't had a job, it's much more difficult to find a job.
Yes, but then I would say that it's not about equity or equality.
Or equality. Yep.
Yeah. So what would be, so here a change that you could make to that idea would be like saying if you're black, you have more chance of getting the job than if you're white, right? That would be where we could see maybe equity and equality like fighting a bit. And look,
Oh yeah,
I can
like DEI and stuff.
Yeah, and look, I can make the arguments on both sides. I think that it's wholly uninteresting to like dive deep into that because it's not even something that no one is interested in doing DEI anymore. Like, not Democrats, of course, not the Republicans. So no one is interested in truly doing that. I feel like it's just a cudgel that is used by the Republican to eat the Democrat for like no apparent reason. But like, that would be an example of where we could say equity is like being pushed so hard that you can like stop thinking like you're going too far. But no, the fact that you're like too young and you don't have experience, that counts as like your overall package of what you're giving. So in a free market, it's easy to say that, well, you're equal. If someone had the same package as you, they would get the same treatment. You're not getting chosen for a job because you're inexperienced, not because of any characteristic that you don't really have a control over, right? So, yeah. And, like, that's a problem. That's something that, of course, pushing laws to fix is important. In Canada, we push a lot so that there's apprenticeship that are partially paid by the government so that it gives people of course, a foot in the door and a chance to get a better life, to get a start, to get a job, and then be able to say, hey, I have on my resume that year of apprenticeship, so I kind of know what the fuck I'm doing. So that helps people, like, get a start.
So
But, yeah.
I guess that's probably how uh I have a Canadian friend or a mutual really with
Hmm.
one of my friends
Hmm.
and he's a HVAC technician. I assume he probably use that to be able to like, you know, learn how to do that.
Well, I think that those are fairly new, so unless it happens like in the last 3 months, I would doubt. But
Ah,
also,
got you, got you, got you.
there's a lot of need for those people, so I don't think that there's a real issue with HVAC technician not being able to get a job. Um,
Yeah, a lot
Maybe
of
it's a
people
bit
do need it.
harder, but like if you're in a job where everyone needs you, people will just train you, okay? Unless you have like a fundamental issue or you're just like socially very awkward or something. Like it's you're going to find that job because people need people and they will train you. They will fucking find a way. They want you. But if you're in a job where it's more competitive, that's where you can have issues, and that's where these policies that are being done in Canada make sense to get people the foot in the door. But yeah, like our society in Canada is, I feel it's just like everywhere that I look, it is superior because of the influence of the government and because the government essentially tries to fix these gaps that the free market is not going to fix. So here again, um, I'm kind of wondering where do you see a push for equality that would make life better? Like if you were to change something in the US that would push something towards more equality, where do you think that would be better?
I'm not entirely sure. Honestly, you are shifting my opinion on equality versus equity.
I think that a big thing for like I've talked with a lot of people about these kind of things, and when you're talking about a lot of these concepts, it's easy to think about ideals and to think about like, okay, this situation just seems unfair, and to think about a narrative. And there's two things that are very toxic for someone to make a good opinion about something. First, narratives, because you can narrative about anything. I can make a banger narrative about how Hitler was the one and we need to gas all the Jews. And I can make a banger narrative about how Hitler was the worst person ever and America went and killed his ass as they should because freedom, right? You can make narratives about everything. So when someone essentially tells you a big story and it feels like the their proposition is wholly pushed not by some calculus, not by some data, but by a story, this is probably something to check out for because you're
Yeah,
probably being taken for a ride. Now, just the fact that there's a narrative doesn't make it bad, but it's probably
but
something to like think
feelings
about.
rather than actual like math just
Yeah, we could.
doesn't compare.
Yeah, absolutely, we could say that. And the second thing, shit, I had something in mind right before. Um, shit, we're talking about equity and then equality. You're making me think a lot. That's great. So, man, what was the second thing that I was thinking about here? Well, it flew out of my mind. What am I gonna do? But yeah, like narratives are toxic to being able to make good opinions. Like going for ideals. Oh yeah, that's a thing that I talked a lot. I think you I think Sam was there when he was called Sam in our call one of the time that we talked because we talked 2 times if I'm
Uh,
not mistaken. But in any case, who
I
cares?
recall someone named Ned in VC.
Ned, yes, true. He was called Ned back then. Now he changed his name again, but who cares? Uh, so, um, yeah, a thing that I've talked a lot to him about is the idea of thinking in policies. So when people talk, they often will talk about an idea of a thing or the ideal or the principle of this. But when you think about principles, you're so far from how it is applied because our like the system, the government is so complex. It's so like it has advanced.
Rust is winning,
Come.
yes.
Yes, Rust.
Come.
Yes, Rust. Come. Okay, we're sorry. Give me a moment. I'll remove text to speech. Okay, but yes, the system has become so more complicated, so much bigger that principles they aren't it, right? If you were writing the Constitution of the U.S. in 1776, maybe then principles make sense. But today, you need to talk in policies. So whenever someone tells you, essentially, we prefer equality over equity, or we prefer this over that, if they don't link that to a specific policy, they're essentially just vibing it, right? Because they're just saying, I feel that this is superior in some way. I'm not going to tell you how we achieve anything. I'm not going to tell you how we should change anything, but it's superior in some way. So that's not good, right? So earlier in the stream, I was yelling about some woman, some Canadian person that is essentially a big lefty, and she likes, not polluting and these kind of shits. And essentially my core argument against her is, why are you yelling about the prime minister while you're not pushing any policy that are better than what the fuck he's doing? Because like we need an actual solution to the if we need an actual solution to the problem, you should be able to say, put on that policy and it will fix it, right? Do this and it will lead us to a better path. Just saying X is bad is not actually an argument. Saying X is bad, we need this instead. That's how like you can actually think about things and
don't come
make it
to me with the
preferable.
problem. Come to me with a solution type.
Yes, right? So when we talk about these things, we need to talk in policies, because if we don't talk into policies, that's when we get into these, like, yes, it feels bad. The idea that if I'm tall, I'm not going to get any help to look over the fence. But when we're putting it into concrete policies, like we did, and we're looking at the income part where we're taxed more or less, or the benefit part where you're getting more or less benefit depending on your income levels, like all of these just make sense. They're just natural, and they would feel very bad to even unequal if you were to reverse them. So yeah, that's you need to think in policies. If you don't think in policies, your brain is floating and you're essentially just getting whatever the last person with a good narrative gave you, which like it's everyone does that, right? There's nothing bad about that, but you can be better. You can think like a giga brain, see through walls. So yeah,
Wall hacks.
indeed. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of things that the US could do better, but like there's I don't know. I feel like whatever I feel like there's a bunch of places that I can go, and that I'm essentially.
Are you a millennial?
No, I'm a Gen Zer. I'm born in 2001.
We're not too far off in age then.
How do you? Sorry, repeat.
Sorry, come again?
I didn't understand what you're.
Oh, I was saying we're not too far off in age. I was born in 2005.
Holy, you're young. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, it's just there's a thing where like millennials say that a lot, where they say like, oh, you're born in 2000 what? And there's like the same fucking feeling when when I see someone that's born.
It's like, you're just a baby. You haven't seen
yeah.
anything yet.
Well, there's that, but it's also like, holy shit, I'm not the youngest thing anymore. I'm getting old. No. But yeah, no, it's like I'm fairly young. I understand that in my life I've essentially taken like an accelerated path towards a bunch of things. That's not good. Okay, please. If you're still studying, don't stop to study, or get a job, or like try to make your life as complete as possible. Don't rush for children, because you're going to rush for children because of some ideological push or whatever, and you're going to end up being like, oh fuck, now I have children, I cannot get out of it, and yeah, I'm fucked because I'm poor. But yeah,
that's exactly where the dude with the food stamps is at. Like, they've been trying for kids, but they've never been in a financial situation where they could actually have kids. So they're kind of in a difficult situation where they're wondering if they're going to have to move back into their mom's house.
yeah, but like in that situation, I think that the way that I would victim blame these people, like I don't know their situation, of course.
You can blame him all you want. He gambles, like, and really
Yeah,
irresponsibly. Like, he had a lump of over $1 million and got rid of all of it just by gambling it away and buying just a few things like a laser cutting.
well, look, that's retarded, and the big
Indeed.
issue, the big issue is that when you're young, okay, and I'm still young, okay, I'm putting myself inside of that bucket. You're more ideological. You do a bunch of dumb shit, and you do dumb shit not because you're dumb. You do dumb shit because you haven't went through life yet. So when you like there's road bumps that you're just going to hit. There's no way that you're going to avoid them. You're going to get fucked by the road. Okay, it's just how it works. So like essentially having kids is probably the worst thing towards that time. And it's not because having kids is bad, it's because having kids makes it so if you want to be a good person for your children, you will essentially have to become slave to them, which is not a good situation. It creates a bunch of mind-fucking things for a lot of people. And most people that are inside of these unstable situations and want to have kids, you're just going to end up putting your kids as your kid's going to end up having a single parent because your relationship are probably not stable. You're going to end up being poor all the time because you're either fucking paying out some kind of alimony or child thing. I don't know
Child
the name
support.
in the US. Child support, yes. So like you're just fucking up yourself and you're fucking up your future child. So GG, that's retarded, right?
Yeah, that's why you use protection.
Indeed. But also, that maybe is a bit more of an offensive take, so I'll just go for it. If you have a job and if you are like in your 20s, it is ridiculously easy to make money. And that's something when you're young, it's hard to see, it's hard to understand, and it's hard to feel. But you can get a job where you make like an entry-level job and you'll make 40K USD easily in this economy, and you'll just rake in the money. If you live with your parents, all of that money is essentially getting into your pocket. And if you're not dumb, you put it all on the side, you invest it, or like you put it on the side for a house or something, and you can end up, like people yell about the price of houses, but you can end up with a down payment within a few years. If you live with your parents, 3 years, you have a solid fucking down payment. You bum got married at 21.
You don't have to get married to have a kid.
I wasn't married then. Was I? Wait. I'm answering the chat. Sorry, I should state it so that it's clear. But wait, we're in... Fucking hell. I was 25, my daughter is 2.5, so we go back in time. That would mean I was 23, 1 year. I'm married at 22, and I was in a relationship. It would mean that I was in a relationship since I was 19. So, yeah. And, yeah, like... Rust, not answering, not talking to, not talking to you. I don't have your name, so I will call you retard. No.
I'm Dylan.
Dylan. Okay. Hi, Dylan. I'm Scott. But yeah. So talking to Rust in the chat. Yes, you. Talking to Rustard in the chat. So yes, I got married very quick, but at that time in my life I was following a pretty right-wing bent. So my ideology was that I believe that essentially there's two things. A, that I wanted to have as many kids as possible, and B, that life was essentially a thing that you could either do fast or do slow, where you would achieve the same thing, but you would just have wasted a bunch of time. So I essentially speed ran through having enough money for a home, bought a home, and tried to have kids for a long time before even like getting my kid. It took a long time. Anyway, so I went through all of that. And the problem is that from the start of this, let's say when I was 19, my view of the world changed drastically from the point where I got my daughter. So I was like, at the end of this, when my well, she's not technically my ex-wife yet, but my wife told me, hey, it's divorce time. I was like, why the fuck did I do all this? Like, I realized that my whole view of the world was false, was retarded, and that I essentially fucked myself in a way where I would be a single father and I would just have to care for my daughter alone. So yeah, it's easy to do things fast. It's when you go through that path, it becomes trivially easy for you to see, holy shit, you can get a house so quick. You can do all of those things so quick. But the truth is, if I were to do it all over again, I would take all the money that I had for the house, I would invest it in the most boring fucking shit ever in some stock somewhere, and I would just save money as much as possible and live my life. But yeah, anyway. But yeah. No, retarded people put themselves into retarded situations. If you're not able to manage your money, don't have kids. If you're young, don't have kids. If you're old, think about having kids seriously, but probably don't have kids. No, I'm half joking there. But yeah, it's a hard thing to have kids, and it's not something to take lightly. But in any way, did you have anything that you disagreed or wanted to trash me about? I'm open to be trashed.
No, I fully agree with your stance on having kids. Though I do have a question that's not entirely related.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you think people with ADHD, when they claim they have no motivation to do anything, that they claim a lot of people claim that they're just using medication as a crutch. How do you feel about that statement?
I'll give both side, and I'll try to like make it clear. I don't know. Do you have a diagnosis for ADHD? I have, but do you have? Okay. So one of the problems when you have a diagnosis, and here I'm not shedding any blame. I'm just saying, look within yourself and see if this apply. Don't answer it. Okay, it's just a question for your own mind. But it's very easy when you have a diagnosis for anything to blame everything on the diagnosis. But at the end of the day, a diagnosis is not meant to give you an excuse. It's meant to give you the tools to be able to find a solution and to fix whatever problem you have. So in the case of ADHD, well, technically I have ADD. I don't have the hyperactivity part, but everyone says ADHD anyway, so who gives a fuck? But when you have ADHD, it's very easy and it's very hard to be able to focus on things. I realized that I was not able to even fucking read before ADHD, before I had my med. So like this this is an insane like you cannot just will through it, right? You cannot just have the willpower to just go through it. But the other side of that is there are medications that exist, and these medication, they need to be like, you need to find the right dosage. You need to get to a place where you can actually live your life and not use ADHD as the forever excuse that prevents you from being from living your life. So there's those two parts. People that say that medication is just something that you like as if you're sniffing coke and you're just like trying to justify your addiction to some drug. They can go fuck themselves, and they're retarded because they're the same people that are essentially not going to never put things into their bodies and be miserable because of it, right? If it turns out that you're sick, you have a cough, and you can just take that cough syrup and make the cough like way more bearable without making it longer, well, you just take the fucking cough syrup, right? There's no problem with that. There should be no no bad externalities. You shouldn't feel bad about these things. And same thing with ADHD. If medication helps, well, you need to get the right dosage. It's hard. I understand all that, but it's not like a forever excuse. It is something that you need to be able to work in the modern society. Sadly, it's like if your brain is truly ADHD, there's no way around it. You will never find enough willpower. You will kill yourself trying to do that. I did, and it just doesn't work. But like, again, the big thing here for our collective ADHD psyche is fuck these people, but also we need to stop using that. Like, stop saying, I have ADHD, I cannot do a thing. We need to say, okay, I have ADHD. If the medication doesn't fucking work, I'll get a new one. Right now, I'm on Foquest, 85 milligram, which is a shit lot. And I need probably more, but like, it's something I need for my body to be able to sit down and to read things and to be there. Or else I always need to be on the highest octane fucking thing and to like play video games and hear 15 fucking videos at the same time in order to like have some kind of life. So yeah, I guess it answers it. I answered it in the most ADHD way possible.
The very roundabout way.
Yeah, but I don't know, maybe do you disagree about anything? I know that I'm like opinionated as fuck, but yeah.
I don't disagree with anything you said.
Cool. You don't have to agree. It's just that I like the debate. And to answer the Rustard in chat, thanks to TikTok, I can only focus for 8 seconds. That's fair. That's very fair. And you're saying I sound like XQC. Go fuck yourself, Rust. Go fuck yourself. There's no other way to cut it.
Yeah, it's crazy how he can speak at like Mach 10 though, and like only 5% of the population can even understand him.
Yeah, and I explain it all the time, but it's so funny coming like because he's from Quebec and I understand what he's doing, and it's a very ADHD way of doing things. Essentially, when you're speaking in another language, you can either adopt the shape of your mouth of that foreign language, or you just use the same shape of your mouth as your current language. So what he's doing is he's using his Québécois, Quebec size mouth, and he's just spitting through the fucking English words, and he's battling his Frenchness while speaking. So we end up speaking like that. It's very funny, but yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But yeah, XQC makes me sad sometimes because he moved to the US, but it's part of life. It's part of life. Yeah, not everybody is a fucking ultra Canadian nationalist, so I must live with that.
What do you think of Linus Tech Tips?
From what I've seen,
like what he does?
He's okay. It seems like he's okay. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I like that I'm disgusted by, right? Because there's a lot of YouTubers that will do things that I'm like, oh boy, he's spitting some retarded shit again. But Linus Tech Tip, it feels like he stays out of the retarded things. And I feel like most like excuse that people have to hate him is essentially things that are like inconsequential. But look, maybe you disagree with this. I don't know.
With Linus, I think like his content is pretty decent. It has good production value. It's just that it like you know about multi-channel networks on YouTube?
Yeah,
Like how they'd essentially go and be like, "Hey, we'll be able to fund you and what have you, steal a
yeah.
couple extra dollars off the top."
Well, they buy the
And
channel essentially to be able to make money of something that people essentially thought was uh, just a personality. Yeah,
and and really with whenever I see a channel go into these multi-channel networks, they kind of lose a lot of the personality and personal the like it feels much less one-on-one, like the creators actually talking to you, but instead talking to an entire audience.
I get that. Here's a thing that I think most people are like you. So I think that most people should hear this. Whenever you're creating content, and especially at that level, you see content as a way different thing as your audience. Your audience, most people in the audience seems to always think that the content is like the most like conversation one on one. I'm trying to be honest, and I'm essentially giving my heart's opinion and all that. But at the end of the day, when you're getting to like when you're over 100,000 subscriber, that's for sure the switch has been made in your brain. Your content becomes a job, and most people, if they have some kind of publicity or adverts inside of their content, they this is their job. They're just trying
Hmm.
to balance
Make ends
out.
meet
Yeah, they're
and
trying to
make their
make
business
ends meet,
bigger.
make their business better, but also like they're balancing a weird balancing act that is essentially how much do I want to lie or how much do I want to do research? That's probably a better word. How much research do I want to put into something versus um, how much money will I get out of that thing? So I can give you an example with my main channel. If I research my Linux kernel videos for 5 hours, or if I research it for 100 hours, the views are going to be the same. So monetarily, there's no reason for me to research a lot. I still do because I love it. Well, sometimes not, but
I
I
appreciate
mostly love
that.
it. And I have like an ideological like my ideology pushes me towards making sure that everything I say is factual. That's what I believe. That's my convictions. So that's what I do. But when you're getting into the 100,000 like subscriber range, you for sure have come into that dilemma where you're essentially saying the research is going to to go a little bit lower, and I'm just going to get them out. That doesn't mean that you're a liar. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That just means that you shouldn't expect the person dishing out one video a day or one video every 2 days that has like 3 person working on these videos. You shouldn't expect them to have a level of research of someone that will issue one video a month and that will do like a fuck ton of research and that you know and trust and know that are actually not speaking bullshit about a thing. So there's this balance, and like just this idea of having this balance in my view completely destroys the idea of the one-on-one, because if you were truly in a like one-on-one relationship with as much honesty as possible, when you make these one videos a day, you would have to say I have no fucking clue what I'm doing every video. If you wanted to be 100% honest, you would have to say that, but
Well, I mean, it would be
you
part of
cannot
the
say that.
brand at that point.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't like have videos, right? Nobody would want to listen someone that would be like, yeah, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm just vibing through things and yeah, just live with it. Then it would be a different thing. It wouldn't be a tech channel.
Did
So
you ever watch Jiraga 1?
if ever watch what?
Jiraga 1, Druaga 1.
I don't know what that is. Let me
AGA 1. Yeah.
AGA. Okay. Nope, never.
He hasn't posted in a very long time, but he's like one of the first tech channels I ever watched.
But like there's yeah, in a long time that's true. But like there's it's complicated. It's a complicated balance. The like fuck. My core issue here is that when these channels get taken over by these multi-channel agency thing,
Mhm.
like we can say, oh, there's some of the honesty, some of the image that is tarnished by that. I understand that, but the fact is, if you were to look into the hearts of the YouTubers, that was lost a long fucking time ago. They made their decision. They're now going through the motion. So now you need to look at it and tell yourself, is the content that they're doing, can I trust it? And is it the type of content that I'm interested in? And stop essentially relying on these people to be sources of pure truth, because they probably are not. Linus Tech Tip doesn't know everything about tech. He's giving his opinions on a bunch of things. He relies on the research of his team. But if his team fucks up, well, then he's fucked. If you want to know something for real, you're going to have to read the law. You're going to have to read for real to go out and actually do a thing. We've had a full fucking 5-hour retarded stream where I read some
Nice.
California law. But yeah, like this happens. In any case, like there's a bunch of things that are going on in the internet. People have their views, but this idea, like it's sad, it breaks a lot of things into your brain, but the idea that these big channels are like one-on-one honest, sadly it's just not the case. It's maths, it's money, and that's all there is. So like I like Linus Tech Tip. I don't think that he's going into these trends that are horrible.
He's not unhealthy compared to what Mr. Beast does. I just feel like
I don't know
on a
about
scale
Mr.
of
Beast.
content farm, you don't know about Mr. Beast?
Well, I know who he is, but I don't know about how it's bad. Like when I was talking about bad, just to give you a name and maybe we can talk about it, it would be Gamer Nexus. Like Gamer Nexus will, every videos that he put out, there contains big lies, and he is doing it knowingly. He's doing it to be able to like sell this idea that he is fighting the man. So like Gamer Nexus is that example.
Yeah, that is his brand, really.
Yeah, but it's all a lie, right? If we look at every video where he says, "Oh, this is bad," or "This is that," it's always lies. So the big thing that we reviewed was the ESA servers are illegal, where essentially this is all taken out of the context. But I can explain it. Give me like half a second. If you want to yap away, you can. I'll just go pee, but I can hear you. So if you have something to say,
all right. But yeah, I find the quality of a YouTube channel mostly goes on a scale of how much content farm they are. So like Mr. Beast or Linus Tech Tips are kind of high up, while you're down here pretty much as far as you can be, where it's not a content farm. It's just pure informative content that gives you something useful to know. And really, when I see a channel turn into a content farm, I usually see a lot of the soul go out of it. Like I've seen it with Smosh.
Understand what you're saying, right? I understand that when you start dishing out shit, it feels like the soul goes out. But another thing that you also need to understand is that all people, no one can recognize what real value, what honesty is. Because if I start dishing out more videos, I can absolutely just say bullshit about how Linux works and about all of that thing and make a bunch more views and just go in and just lie and lie and lie and just filter my comments so that it always looks like I'm true about everything. Like Rustard in the chat right now is saying Clown Journal. That's true. What's his name? fuck, Lunduk Journal. Like this guy essentially does that. He lie. He's always talking about some like politics linked to some kind of tech thing, and he's essentially just lying again and again. People don't see the difference between real work and dying, or real research and lying. And like the sad part is that content like mine, like I'm not complaining, I know that it's the game, but content like mine is a losing offer. If I would ever want to make this my job, let's say that tomorrow I lose my job and I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm doing it. I would never put as much research as I am doing right now, because I'm losing, right? So that's a big thing. Anyway,
I feel like Louis Rossman kind of fits right in the middle there, where he does just enough research. He shares his opinion. He makes it available that it is an opinion versus fact, and what he does have is hard facts. He just shows you.
well,
You have him right below Pierre whatever.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree a lot. The big thing, so that's maybe another thing that I can maybe inch your interest in. At the very start of this conversation, I talked a little bit about opinions. Opinions don't actually exist most of the time. So you can have opinions about liking. I'm not attacking you, just to be clear. I'm just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
You can have opinions about
course.
liking the color red over the color blue. That makes sense, right? It's something that you can be you can have an opinion about. Where you cannot have an opinion is about stating this law does that thing and it doesn't do that thing. About stating this person is corrupt and they haven't done anything corrupt. Those are not opinion, those are lies. So one big problem that I have with Rossman is that Rossman is one of these guys that fuck, most people are like this, but it triggers me. So to be able to have an informed opinion, you need a couple of things. The first thing you need is an understanding of the situation and data. So most people will only go from the understanding of the decision, of the situation. So they're going to look at essentially, let's say, some laws being added, removing some rights from some people. Who the fuck knows? And they will look at that and they will say, well, this is bad because it removes rights. But then when you look at the data, when you look at the actual fact, like more broadly, you see that law doesn't actually do what that vibe-based, essentially, first look does. It actually solves a bunch of problems to reinforce your rights. It does X, it does Y. So people will go on these big, quote-unquote, opinions that will end up be total lies because they have no understanding of the underlying system they're currently critiquing. And now I can point to a bunch of examples with Rossman. Let's go and scroll. They talked about Canada, and that triggered the fuck out of me. Maybe you saw the video. So let's...
I mostly see the stuff where he gets contact from people's attorneys, and he goes and it essentially calls them out like, oh, take this video down because this or that, and none of this is defamatory, so we're not going to take it down. We'll take you to court is pretty much his entire thing.
Well, that's the issue, right? It's because sometimes it might be defamatory, but it might not be to the point where he can be taken to court.
Has to be something that is untruthful, though.
Well, that's the issue. So what Rossman will do is he will say things that are untruthful, but when... so defamation law in the US, the way that it works is you can lie about... lie. It's complicated. You cannot knowingly lie about a public person, but it needs to be knowable, and you need like to prove the fact that there are damage linked to that. So it essentially, if you're a public person, unless someone calls you out as a pedophile and tries to make a whole campaign about the fact that you're a pedophile, it's impossible to sue someone for for lies. So the issue is that what Lewis will do is he will essentially lie about 99% of the situation, but it's not a lie like...
Oh, there's your Canadian video.
Yeah. So
Hey,
he's not going to... What he's going to do is going to push a narrative that doesn't actually exist. So for example, this whole thing is... So this video is about a new Canadian law that he says forces messaging app to log data. And what he says is he essentially says the government is doing this authoritarian push where they're seeking to get all the data from the company with encrypted services, and they're asking to decrypt the messages, and
Yeah,
they're asking
essentially get a backdoor in there.
yes, that's a lie. Like we can go look at which one is
Like,
it? I think
if
it's
you use
C22.
Signal, I don't think you can force anyone to have a backdoor, especially if you host your own Signal server.
Like, let me show you how ridiculous the lie is. If you go, and that's the actual fucking law, okay? If you look at the definitions in the law, they say electronic protection means authentication, encryption, and other prescribed type of data protection. So electronic protection essentially means encryption. And they say in the law, systemic vulnerability means vulnerability in the electronic protection of an electronic service that create a substantial risk that secure information could be accessed by a person who does not have any right or authority to do so. And when we when we check
Use the find function again.
yes, when we use the find function, systemic vulnerability. So I use the find function 3 times, okay? I'm not the smartest people alive, okay? It says, that's part of the law, systemic vulnerability. A core provider is not required to comply with a provision of a regulation made under subsection 2, which is essentially the regulation itself, with respect of an electronic service, if compliance with that provision would require the provider to introduce a systemic vulnerability related to that service or prevent the provider from rectifying such a vulnerability. So that paragraph essentially states you don't need to create a backdoor. If you have that information, if that information passes through your hand, you have to keep it. But if you never had access to it, you don't have to make it up out of thin air.
If you don't have the encryption keys in the first place, you can give them the encrypted data, but they have to do the work of finding how to decrypt it.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Well, they don't have to do the work to... sorry, I just want to be sure that we're on the same line. You don't have to do the work to decrypt it. You don't have to create a backdoor. What they're saying here is we're regulating things that you have in your control. So if you ever had the name of the person, you need to keep it. So if it was encrypted, you don't have to keep it. So here, what he is doing is essentially reading the titles of some things, and he's saying, oh my God, that's bad because of this, because of this, because of that. And I think he's even like quoting some article somewhere near the end, maybe. But this is a mischaracterization of the whole fucking law. Like this is just a pure lie. And
if you don't have to add anything extra to your stuff, it's only asking to surrender data if you're requested of it, if you have it in plain text. I understand the concept, though I'd argue that not in all cases, like without a warrant, I don't think you should be able to even request that data.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I read the full fucking text. I'm so like I'm so knowledgeable about it. Okay, I'm an expert at this point. So the law, the way that it works is because in Canada, we don't actually have any power to go after people if they use the internet. So what that means is that in the US, if your police made a request to some ISP asking them, hey, is this person your client? They're going to get an answer, right? They're going to be able to know, okay, the pedophile over there that is transmitting child porn through torrent, well, we know his IP, we can know which ISP, and now we can go ask a judge to have a warrant in order to get more information about them. The issue is
the person that that has that content is the one you think it is. Like without the
Yes,
content,
to
like because
de-anonymize an IP, for example.
multiple people can be on a single IP, so you can
Yeah.
never really truly know which computer it's from.
Yes, but you can still start an investigation, right?
Of
You
course.
still have a
Like
crime going
if
on.
you have a probable cause, you're allowed to get a warrant, and
Yes,
possession of CSAM is definitely one of them.
but here the issue is that in Canada, we don't have anything that enables that. So what would happen is that if, let's say there's some investigation, they get the IP address of someone that is sending CSAM, that is sending, we know what, they would look at the IP and they would ask the ISPs, hey, is this your client? Like just to know if the IP is part of the ISPs, people that they manage. And the ISPs would not answer. So what that would mean is that you can then not get a warrant because you don't have any targets. You cannot even say which ISP you're getting the warrant for, right? You cannot say, oh, I have a warrant to whoever the fuck. That doesn't exist. You need a targeted warrant with the specific person that you're essentially sending the warrant to. So the right that they're adding is the right to ask the ISP, is this your client? And the ISP has to answer if the IP address or if the name or if the whatever is their client. It's a yes or no,
That's how it
nothing more.
already works in the US. I
Yes.
can't really say I have an issue with that.
So this is the first thing that the law adds. The second thing is whenever you have that answer, there is now a lower threshold warrant because with a warrant, you essentially have to have someone dead to rights. So you have, at least in Canada, when you go ask a judge, you need to be able to show essentially, yeah, this guy fucking raped the kids. We know. Here's the proof in order to be able to get more information. But what you can do now with this new law is that you can ask a limited band of information that essentially ask, who is this person? So let's say that you have an IP, you've confirmed that the IP is part of this ISP. You can now, with the agreement of a judge, ask for the de-anonymization of that person. So you can ask their name, you can ask where they live,
MAC
you can
address?
ask, more than their MAC address, right? Their actual information. So the information that the ISP has, you can now ask it, if they have it, of course, if the judge signs it, and it's a lower threshold than the traditional warrant in order to get the investigation going. So let's make the story, okay? You have a pedophile streaming porn through their IP address. They see, okay, we have this IP address. They ask all the ISPs, okay, who's the one that has this IP address and that serves this IP address? One raises its hand, it's us, it's Bell or whatever. So they raise their hands and they're like, hey, it's us. And then the cop goes to see a judge and he says, hey, I have an IP address. It sends CP. What are we going to do about it? And the other says, okay, we've looked at it. Essentially, we see that it serves CP. So we allow you to de-anonymize this person, get their name. And they get their name. And then they can actually fucking have a real fucking warrant where they can go after this person. They can then bust the door of this asshole for real because they know who it is.
The name of the person because you don't know who is on that IP though.
Yeah, but that's another part, right? Right now we're just okay.
That's
you can see
like,
the screen,
that's later
right?
on, right? Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Step 1. Maybe it's delayed. I can stream on Discord if it's simpler.
It's not super delayed. It's like 5 seconds.
Oh, all right. So step number 1, it is asking the ISP if the IP is part of it. So that's the first step. Second step, once you have the ISP, you go see a judge, and you ask them to de-anonymize the person. So the way that you get that, okay, that's fucking bad writing, who cares? So you ask the judge, hey, can I have the authorization to de-anonymize this person? The way that the ISP has that information is because they're selling it. right? So you can have the name of the connection because someone sells, like the ISP is selling the connection, right? I'm paying my ISP, so my name is in the bill. Now,
Yeah.
let's just be clear. This doesn't allow anyone to get in jail yet. This just says we can know who pays for the bill
What household?
on that
really?
IP. Yes, and which house on that IP that is currently serving child porn. So this then allows to go forward and make a real case, right? And then because you have the name, because you have some other information, you have the date of transmission for the communications, like you have some other small information, the payment information, how it was paid. So
Mhm.
you have these information, and then you can make your case, right? You're not in jail at that point, right? If my IP, someone was to VPN in and send child porn all over the place, well, I wouldn't be in jail because of that. But it would allow them to make a case in order to make a real warrant where they might go and take a look inside of my
Search what
computer.
you have.
Yeah, because at that point, we're seeing an IP and it torrents CP on the internet. Or we need to fix this, right? We cannot just let some retard sending CP on the internet. So those two steps are added by the law. Without the law, it would be dead at the start. There's no way, like, you're a pedophile, you're protected in Canada. Like, it's that insane. So unless the pedophile somehow puts his address in the middle of the video, well, nothing happens. So this makes sense,
Like,
and it makes sense because
that
it's
totally makes sense.
and it's the way that everywhere it works. So here, the reason, to come back to Louis Rossmann, the reason why I say that he's dumb is because he doesn't understand the situation. He hasn't read any real documentation. Like he's just like going for quotes in his head when he made this research, quote unquote research. What he did, like, it's very simple. Those people, they go in and they already have an opinion. Their opinion, they don't know if it's right or if it's wrong, but they already think that the Canadian government is there to fuck you. So they go there and then they make all of their arguments, but they make it backward from their opinion. So essentially, how are they going to fuck you? That needs to be filled from them. So they look at the law and make their dumb judgment and then end up with these videos where they essentially lie. So, like, I'm not opposed to people. I've read a full fucking document talking about this, talking about how they believe that it's bad, right? There's actual researcher that went into it that says this is a power, that's their argument. This is a power that was never granted to the federal government before. It shouldn't be done that fast. There should be more check and it should be more narrow because they believe that it's a bit too broad in how they describe ISP and how they describe the data. That's fair. Like, those are real arguments. Louis Rossmann doesn't make any of these arguments. What he's saying is the government wants to rape you. So, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about it? If this guy is able to lie to me blatantly, I don't care if it's voluntary or if he's just a retard. At the end, he's not a safe source of information. So now, each time that I see Louis Rossmann...
Oh, ask the provider to voluntarily provide the, that seems like it would actually make it even more difficult for them than if it was just, voluntarily or not.
Well, there's some things that are voluntarily. So this, there is protection within the law that stipulates that. Okay, so the way that the law works is it's essentially says that there are different types of data. This has already been So it's building on another law, so I don't know if we will be able to get the definition of it easily. But essentially, it says that if you give more than what the law technically, than what by the law you should be giving, you cannot, like, you won't be sued for it. So, for example, in the law, it states that you can give transmission data. So transmission data essentially means the timing of the transmission, when it occurs, and where was it sent to. It doesn't mean the data within the transmission. So if you have like, let's say you're sending an image, we won't see the image, but we will see where you sent and what time it was sent. So what it states is, let's say that you, for some reason, by mistake, I don't know, send the image in and of itself, you won't get sued for that, right? You cannot get sued for trying to comply with our order and somehow giving more. So, like, here I'm, like, this is probably the worst thing that could happen, but I can see how, like, some narrow metadata would be given that are not part of it. So let's say that instead of giving the date of transmission, you're also giving the date of creation of an account. Well, technically, that's not part of the law, but you shouldn't be sued for that,
a lot
right?
with catching. That can help a lot with catching people doing very suspicious things. Like if you go make an account for a relay of some sort, and you go use that relay and then do stuff you're not legally allowed to do, then
yes, but
they have
technically,
a decent idea of who you are and who they should be going for.
yes, but technically, the government is not allowed to force for that specific piece of data. But if if the specific ISP just provides that data, they shouldn't be sued for that, right? We can clearly see that this could be a mistake. This could be something like you send, and it's just part of your data infrastructure of how you log things. So you kind of need to send it, or else it becomes complicated. So that could be a reasonable way to think about it. Or it could just be that you really want to remove the pedophiles from your platform or whatever. Like these are all like valid explanations for it, and it should be okay that if you give a little bit more, that it doesn't fuck you over. So, like, this is... Anyway, come back to Lewis. Lewis here is either out of his depth and a fucking retard, or he is voluntarily lying for clicks. In both of these cases, this makes him an unreliable narrator. This makes him someone that you cannot trust for your information, because instead of not making a video or saying, look, there's this law, I've heard some experts say that it's new things that are being changed, I invite you to read, or we're going to read like this criticism document made by the actual people that actually read the law and know what the fuck they're talking about. Instead of doing that, he went out and clipped the law, essentially. Look at the law itself, but look at the parts that helped him make his narrative, helped him make his lie, right? Nowhere in there is he talking about the encryption part. Well, to my knowledge, I watched this on stream, okay? So I do not believe...
Maybe he's complaining about logging on unencrypted data. I could see that being an issue.
That's not his point.
So, right. I haven't watched the video, so I couldn't say.
Yeah, it's okay, but I've watched the video, so I'm just telling you, like, this... He's not the only one who lied. Like, his video came after a bunch of other videos on the subject, but all the people that talked about this, Some Ordinary Gamer, maybe you know it.
Yeah, I listened to him too.
So he did the same thing, and he's doing it often. So Some Ordinary Gamer is...
And he lives in Canada.
Yep. So, I mean, I made a full video on the subject, but...
And
yeah.
On another note, flock, and B, requiring age verification. How do you feel about those two things?
Wait, I have a second. I'm going to get my water. But you're asking flock? When you're saying flock...
I'm talking about flock cameras.
Okay.
So, essentially, surveillance by a private organization, NGO. So, the first thing, I don't like the word NGO, and that's because it's a boogeyman. So a lot of people, when they say non-governmental organization, it's not part of the government.
I understand, but like I'm not attacking what you're saying. It's like it's true, It's just that when people use NGO, what they often mean is dark cabal or something malicious.
Oh,
But
that's
in
not what I mean by it. I
yeah,
strictly just
I
mean
know.
it in the sense of the word.
I know. I'm just declaring when you hear people talk a lot about NGOs, that should be like a red flag in your mind. But yeah, let's start with Flock, I guess. So, like, it depends what we mean. So here, I'm just going to relay some possibilities. So let's say that a city wants to have the ability to track their citizen in order so that their police force know where a car is at essentially all time to be able to well get criminals. In that
Or
view,
even convict people that are now even like otherwise in suspicion.
well, yeah. Wait a second. Okay. Let's dig a bit deeper on what you're saying. The fact that you're not caught by traditional techniques does not mean that you didn't do something illegal.
Sure, but to what
So
degree should the government be able to say, "Oh yeah, you can do this," or "No, you can't do that"? Like, I understand if you
to an
blow a
infinite
fucking red
degree.
light.
We agree on this. It's just that you've not been exposed to the to situation where it makes sense. Do you agree that if someone murders someone else, like I'm not talking
Sure,
about
you should be able
self-defense,
to get a
murders,
warrant and get that information, but I
you
believe
should
you should get a warrant first, not just be able to type in a fucking donut or whatever and be like, "Oh yeah, that's our reason. We're looking for donut."
no. But that's never how it works. So
But you literally just have to prompt the flock to be able, like, it has it has learning and it's able to identify things. So
yeah,
you
but
can
it
just
doesn't.
go and look for whatever you want, even if there's
No,
nothing there.
no, that's not how it works. So when you're so there's pressures there that I think most people don't know. The judiciary, the judge, and well, technically in the US, it's being judged by a jury of your peers. The goal of this is that let's say that someone was to make up shit, okay, and you didn't murder someone, but the flock says through their AI that you did murder someone. It would go to court, and the people, the prosecutors, they would have to essentially prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the flock camera cannot make a mistake, A, and that you did the murder, B, which is not possible. No, like this would never win in court, never. And like you can spice it up with a bunch more thing, like you were at the same place as a murder and X and Y, but like even if you spice it up and make the situation very bad, you won't be able to convict unless you have real proof. So the flock cameras, they allow you to get a lead on things, but themselves, unless they get footage of something bad happening, they're not going to convict. So here, let's go back to the start. If you make a murder, like well, not you. Let's say someone comes in and murder your mom. Okay, let's be fucking graphic. Murders your mom,
Sure.
and this person escaped, and within all the traditional ways, they would have escaped. No one would know. But because we have flock cameras, we knew that their car was parked within the exact time frame where your mom died, and they went out, and then the police were able to like investigate and get a warrant, get the fingerprint for the guy, and then see, oh my god, they match, and he actually killed your mom. Isn't that like here?
Beneficial, sure.
Okay. Yes, that's exactly. Thank you. You answered exactly how. Thank you for this absolute good faith. I love it. So we can agree that it's a beneficial thing. Now, where the conversation should be and ought to be is for this community. Do they believe that flock cameras are either needed or are something that they are open to for their privacy? I am someone that doesn't care much about my privacy. I would be okay with flock cameras. But I can see how someone would look at flock cameras and would say, I don't like the fact that I'm on film wherever the fuck I'm going. And that's okay for the people that live there to say no. Not for the overall federal government to say no. Not for, I would even say, the state government to say no. I would say it is a per community, per city thing that they need to make the choice. They should vote for a mayor, and that mayor should make that choice for them. And if people disagree, they will elect a mayor that will remove them or will make sure that it doesn't happen. Like, that's a part of democracy
Thing is, with
that should be
cameras,
enforced.
they always, like, they're already all across everywhere, and almost no one knew about them until they were already getting put up.
Like, I just disagree with that. Like, maybe it's because in Canada we don't have them, but like,
Like in Michigan, you can look like on deflock.me. Uh, there's just like it's pretty much swarming with them. Not every spot, but like I can say concretely that if I were to go more than like if I were to go down to, let's say, the Detroit Zoo, I know I'd hit probably 20 or more flock cameras.
okay, let's just look at the map so that we have an idea. But here, like, let's just be clear, there's always been cameras at big places. Okay, why can't you load? Please just render. Anyway, there's always been cameras at a lot of places. So one example would be highways, bridge. Normally these places contains cameras just because
Yeah,
if
license
it
plates,
gets blocked,
readers.
not even that. Like, if it gets blocked, you would want to know, right? The authorities should know if a big truck is stopping a bridge, and you should know. Like, it's very fucking important. So,
Mind you, I'm like below the thumb of Michigan. I'm where that big old red spot is by Detroit, just north of it.
yeah. But
But
here,
there's a crap load of them.
like, I just, like you say, there's a crap load of them. I mean, I kind of disagree. The reason why I disagree that there's a crap load of them is, yes, there's,
It looks like there's more of them than McDonald's, at least in the areas that they are dens.
okay, shouldn't there be, I would expect there to be 100x more cameras than McDonald's. So, okay, maybe this is not true for everywhere. In Canada or in Quebec, in my city, when I used to work at a computer repair shop, we had cameras, we were selling cameras, and it happened often that the cops would come and would say, hey, there's been a break-in. Can we have access to your cameras so that we can see the front of your shop, so that we can see which car was passing by? And they would have to go shop per shop with cameras in order to get that information. It would take them hours. And of course, if we decided to not comply, we could, but like, this is something that you would just comply because you want to have the cops on your side, right? You want the cops to
Not
like
target
you.
here because, like,
Well,
just
it's not a
generally, if you have
targeting
a cop
thing.
that just like I know, but
It's
ultimately
more,
people can hold grudges.
well, yes, but it's also they give a service to the community. They are doing a hard job, so you want to not be a problem in
A
this. Yes, so here, like,
But
they
just
they
because of
already
their
have
authority,
that.
it already convinces people to give the information away much more easily.
Yeah, but that's not bad, right? Would we say, like, again, let's say that we have two worlds. One world where there's just a little bit more cameras and they don't have to go door to door to ask businesses and waste a lot of time in order to find your mom's murderer, or they could just look at the flock camera and probably have their answer. I would much prefer the flock camera world to the one where they have to essentially ask everyone. That seems like a big waste of time, but it's something that they need to do currently. So, like, there's real arguments that you can make about flock cameras. I just don't think that the fact that
The average person really needs to care that much about it, that they're not really going to get any
well, the truth is they
ill
don't.
effects of it.
Well, they're never going to feel the ill effect. They're never going to feel any negative effect of it. And like, what negative effect have you felt of flock cameras?
Personally, I haven't.
And 99.9999% are not going to feel it. And the people that are going to feel it are going to be people that break the law. So here the truth is, if there is more flock cameras in your community, it's because people have tacitly voted for it. If it truly was an issue, they would vote to get rid of them or to not have them. So
It's more complicated than that to be able to get rid of them.
no, it's really that simple. You can just vote people in, and like there's some things that are directly in the purview of your elected representative. Flock cameras are. So you can absolutely just strip all the flock cameras after an election. It would be a retarded waste of money in my view, but you could still do it. So here, I feel like the issue that we have, it's a little bit like healthcare. We're seeing some people care a lot about a thing, but most people that are most
Holy
of the
crap,
voters,
Chicago.
yeah, and it makes sense, right? You have a higher crime city, at least traditionally, so it would make
Well, I mean, wouldn't
sense.
this also like hurt the unhoused population that might need to steal just to be able to live?
I no, that's not true. I don't believe that any unhoused people are truly stealing to survive. That doesn't exist in the U.S. Unless
I
you're
can't say
counting like
concretely.
stealing from the trash, and I do not believe that the police will
No,
like.
I mean like petty theft from like
No,
stores and crap, so you can get food.
no, I don't believe that happens. Like I understand what you're saying. It just like I've never seen this match reality. When I've seen
Yeah, I
theft
got you.
in my life, it's always been people that wanted the thrill of it. Like I remember, again, that's my experience in the
Yeah, some people are
computer.
just kleptomaniacs. I don't
Yes,
understand it personally.
I would have grandmas, like literal 70-year-old grandmas, okay? They would come in groups and they would steal the, Arduino or Raspberry Pi? They
Oh
would
yeah, yeah, yeah.
steal Arduino pieces. Do you think that they're using Arduino pieces? No, it's for the thrill of it that they're doing it. They find it fun. And it would happen. Like, these people are not starving. They're not reselling Arduino pieces on the fucking retail market, okay?
Yeah, no,
They're,
Arduinos are like cheap as hell. Like they're
yes,
even cheaper than a Raspberry Pi Zero.
yes. It's like, it's ridiculous. So, and it was like modules for Arduino. So, not even like
Ah, so like
it,
the hats?
not even as so you can buy like just captors
Ah,
just
gotcha.
so it's like
Tiny little
five
things.
$5 max a piece. Like it's retarded, but they would
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's the
There's no
thrill.
reason to be stealing. Like,
So like I understand there's this hypothetical that we all know, like should someone that is starving or that have a starving child be stealing, everyone would say yes. But the truth is, in the US, your like it seems dumb, but your trash are filled with so much food that you can just
yeah, but
from the
should
trash.
unhoused people really have to eat out of the trash just to live? Like, I wouldn't want to have
No,
to
but
give
it
my kids fucking trash
no,
as
but they
food.
they go to food banks, right? That's what they do. So they will go to food banks. They will go to whatever organization is inside of their community to be able to eat. This is already something that is solved because if the unhoused population was truly starving, you would know it. Like, this is,
Mhm.
if you want to know why there's so much terrorism in the Middle East, it's because you have a bunch of displaced persons that have no life, that are starving. These people will do anything for food. So these people would absolutely steal. But that's because they're in a way worse situation. And in the US, it sounds very fucking retarded, but it is true. A poor person in India or in Syria or in most of the world would pay their left kidney to be unhoused in America. And it's not because you have a lot of benefit, it's because of how opulent and rich your society is. Your trash have more value than their entire household. And when you realize that, that's when you see, yeah, we're just not like, this just doesn't really happen. Or if it does, it's not an issue. Like one person stealing one orange because they weren't able to find some fucking food somewhere, and like this person is not going to be prosecuted by the police anyway, because the police doesn't prosecute these people. Most states have some rate
You have to
under
go,
which,
yeah, if it's just petty theft, generally police don't go after them. It's once it's a certain dollar amount that they are like,
yes,
oh yeah, this is worth going after. Let's spend our resources on this.
yes. So here, just to come
Now,
back to the flocks, that's a decision that, like, oh, the city of South Bend, well, they should make that decision for themselves. The city of my brain, Detroit,
Roseville, let's say.
Detroit should make this decision. The townships around Detroit should make these decisions.
What
So
have you.
yeah, they should make this decision, and I would be happy with one side or the other winning that argument. I believe for my own house, I would like if we would have more cameras around, because I have never seen a place in my life where cameras were a problem to me, and I feel like we are overall safer with the cameras. That's my opinion. But here, that's one place where opinions are valid, right? Because it's not as if there is an empirical superior thing when we talk about your privacy. Your privacy has a price, and depending on what that price is for you, it's going to, of course, change the bounds of if you accept the flock or not. But here, people should vote on it. Where there could be issues, that's where I wanted to go. Where you could have issues is if they're using datas for things that are not expected, or that your elected
Or that
leaders
isn't
don't
even
know.
for law enforcement, I could
Yes. So if you take all of that data,
argue. It could very well be abused, is all I see as the negative. It could be abused.
well, the real question here is it, right? If that information is all backdoored by China and it is abused and we can prove it, then of course fixing the backdoor would be the first thing. But if it's impossible to fix such a backdoor, to fix such issue, then yes, remove it, because it's a dangerous thing. But
Yeah, but people
we
with
have to start by
ill
proving that.
intentions, even that have access to these systems, can just query them.
Yes, but let's think about what we're talking about here, right? Query them. So you're querying a video feed, or maybe some like traffic infractions that are going on. That's all that you can get from those. So what, or the tracking
You can
of a
see
specific
what
car.
people on they can even detect faces. They put names to faces frequently.
Yes, but like we're talking about like the most advanced camera by talking about this. Like the most advanced city with the, like Chicago doesn't have that capability, and they have a shitload of camera. I guarantee you that they're not able to track faces. They're able to track cars. That would be
That's
trivial.
a feature of Flock itself.
I understand that's a
And
feature.
that's
What
all
I'm saying is
that's
that
the blue bar on the top, the Flock safety.
yes, I understand that, but there's levels to it. Like
And that's only the ones within your view. So that's Chicago particularly.
yes, I understand that, but you understand that there's a level to it.
Yes, I understand.
So if we have a camera and the camera is filming the road, it won't be able to film your face within the car. It will know that it's your car if it has access to the database of all the plates, which the police has. So they could make inferences of who is in the car. And maybe if you have like more detailed cameras in some specific spots, so let's say that in the airport you have some cameras there that are able to like focus on the faces, maybe. But what I'm saying is this essentially, like we're trying to paint. Most people are trying to paint the dystopian view of we know where everybody is at every second, and we know if you masturbated in a plant. So like this, like that's just
Yeah,
not
like
what's
if
going
someone
on.
needs to urinate, like
If you piss on the side of the road, you're not going to get arrested for it.
you can get arrested for indecent exposure if you get caught.
Yes, but that would need to be unreasonable. No one in the history of people has been arrested for pissing somewhere because they really needed it, and like where the like people might have been arrested for that if they were doing like very retarded things. Like you're in a children's park and you're like pissing, looking at kids, right? So at that point,
Yeah, that's a little weird.
yeah, at that point you're a fucking retard, right? But the person, let's say that your kid like really needs to pee, and you're on the highway somewhere, you just stop on the side, you let them pee. Well, no one is going to arrest you unless you're like wildly unsafe while doing it. So, like, I think that the big issue when we look at Flock is again a narrative, and we are looking at things as if no human or no reasonable human was looking at this. The goal of the police is not to fuck you over. The goal of the police is to
understand
make
their
sure
goal
that there's
is-
less crime. Less crime.
But it only
right?
takes one bad egg.
Well, no, right? What does one bad person? Let's say that one person, they really
Let's
hate the
say
world. What will happen?
Let's say a police officer has an ex that they want to go track down and kill. All they have to do is find their license plate, go find where they last were
Well-
identified, and go figure out where they are from there.
Yeah, but then you can already do that,
Like-
right? You don't have to, like, having access to Flock will make it a little bit easier. But let's be honest, if you have an ex and you want to kill that person, you will find wherever the fuck they live. It is possible. It is even trivial, and you will be able to do it. I understand that we like to cling to this idea that everything is safe. The truth is, if someone wants to come and kill me, I have enough information on the internet where they know my address. It is trivial to find my address. So,
That's
and I
pretty
have not
interesting.
disclosed it. So, it's weird to think about, but we just trust that no one will kill somebody else. And like if we look at Charlie Kirk, right? That's an example. We have like this one high stake murder. But let's think about it. Like the quantities of murder, at least in the political speakers that are not Democrats, because it seems that Democrats in Michigan do end up getting killed for some reason. You don't know?
I haven't heard of that.
Oh my God. Michigan. Michigan Democrat killed. Okay, so in 2025, there was a guy that essentially went at a list of the homes of a bunch of Democratic legislator, and he essentially went, disguised as a cop, and was doing houses per houses to kill all the Democratic legislator. So he's a conspiracy theorist, mega Trump guy. He went to the first house, he fucking killed the people there, and he had a list going from houses to houses. And what happened is that the police essentially saw this and understood right away, oh fuck, this motherfucker is going to go houses per houses. So the police looked the address of the next legislator that would be the nearest, went there, and they managed to get the guy before he actually like killed
Hey,
more.
that's a good play.
So, like, again,
Yeah,
in this
there's crazy
situation,
people out there for sure.
yeah. But in this situation, let's think about it. Wouldn't Flock cameras be crazy good in this situation, right? Because you could probably track whoever the fuck was passed there, have some kind of idea of where they are way easier. But again, the issue is we're looking at this as if our police are bad people and it only takes one bad person. The truth is, if we're going for this, it only takes one person, we're always going to lose. it only takes just the fact that there's a police, right? If someone is a police officer, they have a gun, they can essentially walk pretty much anywhere. And if they want to kill someone, they're going to kill someone. So sadly, not sadly, we need people to do that. But like, if someone is fucked in the head enough, it will happen. So I don't see why we couldn't, like, this is not an argument to me. What is an argument would be the privacy.
How about we step on to the age verification?
Yeah, when we're talking about age verification, it's very important to like set out the goals of what we
OS
want.
level age verification. Let's make that a bit more clear.
Yes. So when we're thinking about age verification, I'm thinking about it in a Canadian context because we're currently, as a country, we're trying to think about what we will do next if we want to ban things or whatever. But age verification, like the goal here, we need to start by agreeing with the result that we want to have. The result that we want to have by age verification is saying that some content should not be allowed to be viewed if you're a kid. Let's say if you're 12, you shouldn't be exposed to porn. Now, some people will say to that, yes, even 12 years old should be exposed to porn. That's a valid argument, okay?
I feel like as long as the parental guardians allow it, it should be within, like, it should be discretion of the parents. And I think that ultimately, if you just have parental supervision, that's not an issue. You don't need age verification.
Well, then it doesn't. Okay, so this specific thing doesn't weaken age verification. Think about it further. If you're saying it's under parental supervision, well, then saying that we lock everything but access to the parent can give access to the children, right? So it doesn't weaken the case.
Let's say you want to go on a porn site, let's say, and they're like, oh yeah, you live here. We know you have age verification. We need to know who you are before you continue. So it'll go take your fucking driver's license, go put it in a database that isn't always well secured. And if they ever have a data breach, then you end up with your ID out. And you also get associated with the site that you signed up on.
I get it. Now, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. So first of all, let's just, I need you to start by granting, just for the sake of argument, just so that we can continue this correctly, granting that it is a good idea, for the sake of argument, to ban children from watching porn. Okay, it is a valid idea to say, yeah, they should just watch porn, fuck it. But just so that the argument makes sense, or else we can always retreat and say, well, I just don't care. We need to say, we want to ban children watching porn. So let's just start with that foundation, assume that we agree on that. Now, the arguments that you're making at this point, saying essentially, we don't want to have our name linked to a porn site. We don't want to give out information to people. That seems wildly unsafe. And we could have
some PII.
Yeah, and we could have some breach of information that could compromise the whole thing. I agree with everything you're saying, but this, sadly, is not something that weakens in any way age verification. What it weakens is a bad implementation of age verification. Here is how age verification, done in a way that makes sense, would be done. What you would create is you would create an independent governmental agency that would be tasked with creating IDs for your people. That's the first thing in the US, because you guys don't have IDs, but would first create IDs for your people.
And most people have an SSN at the bare minimum.
Yeah, but it's not forced, so there's no like guarantee of it. But
but if you're Amish, you're not really going to go on a computer in the first place. But anyways,
I understand. So let's say, no, it's all good. Let's say that we, instead of let's skip the granting IDs part, and let's just say we have an organization that is there to verify that someone is a specific person. So to be able to link an identity to someone with a password, essentially. So what you can do from there is you can, and this is all bog standard technology that we know how to do for like decades.
Like if we were to do it a bit different, I could see like OS level, particularly
You're going too
OS
far.
level verification is where I.
You're already going too far in your mind. Stay right here, okay? So you have the government. They issue IDs, and what they do is when you log in to that porn website, it will ask you, hey, you have to log in through this specific login, which is government controlled. And what this login will do is it will issue a token. The porn website, they don't know your identity. They have no fucking idea who you are, what age you are. They just know you're an adult. They know the yes or no. So that way, it's solved. And if you have age verification on the OS level, it's essentially the same thing, where you will request the token from the OS. The OS will give the token to the company, the porn website, and the porn website will do the verification at the governmental agency. And all of that can be done with total anonymity, with the security of the fact that the government is holding and setting the standard.
If you have access to the database that has all these identities, if you just link back this value that's associated to you, you can go and search that up. And then you can, like, with particularly OS level, I don't want my identities associated to my devices.
Well, then there's a bunch of things that are broken in that logic, because if we assume that it's impossible, like I'm sorry. Do you have a Google account? You have,
of course,
probably an Amazon account or a bunch of other accounts. Like, all of those contain way more information, and this information is absolutely not regulated by the government in like any direct way. So what we're stating here,
but you can sue companies for giving your information out if you get harmed in some way.
How would you know that there's a harm in the first place, right?
If you do get harmed.
Here, what you're saying is essentially it could fuck up. That's the only argument that you have. But what I can say to counter that is, well, technically, they already have all of that information. Like, this already exists.
They don't even know my age. They think I was born in 1999 on April 20th.
Yeah, that's the one that you're saying, but their algorithms, they fucking know. They know more about you than you even know. So, like, the fact is,
my data could much more closely replicate someone closer to the age of 20 than 25. I get
like they know they know all of that, but not only that, like they know more about like the person you are, your choice, and all that. But at the end of the day, the argument that you're making is it could fuck up. My argument is this information is already all out there. And if we're talking about a grand fuck up, where not only we would have to fuck up on the database side of things, or on the government holding the database, and on let's say fucking Pornhub, in order to be able to link the two and to see, okay, Pornhub used this token and it happened on that date, and this token is to this person. Like, if you're talking about this level of fuck up, I mean, everything is open at that point. We know what you masturbated on since the age of fucking 5. Like, we know everything at that point. So, like, we cannot live life doubting everything like this. Like, we need to have some faith that also, things will be done correctly.
Aren't there just like the firewalls you can introduce to your network to be able to just block out those IPs in the first place and not let your child get to them? Like, wouldn't that solve the issue on a local level, and then everyone else gets to choose if they put a filter on it or not?
Well, yes and no, right? Because what you're saying, like, essentially...
Sure, you can use a VPN, but what 5 to 11-year-old's going to know what a VPN is and how to use it correctly? Like you usually need to get money to be able to use a VPN. Don't get me wrong. When I was young, I figured out a way to get a VPN because, well, Soft Ether, uh, with how they do their stuff, it's you just get OPVN file and go connect
Yeah,
to the server.
yeah, and same thing for me. But like here, okay, there's okay. Here's my issue. There's different levels where you can have disagreements, and my problem is that um, this is why I said you need to start by agreeing that children should not watch porn. Because,
That is an assumption.
yes, because as soon as we assume that, then the idea that you can block it on your network is wholly inefficient. Because as a society, we have chosen that children should not watch porn, and letting essentially a parent have that choice is already too much. If we're saying it's to the parent's discretion, then it's easier to make the argument one way
It's
or
almost
another.
2 years ago when I saw this video by Steve Ball where he showed something that I see on the floor.
Answer my sorry. When I use my volume up and down on my phone when it's locked, it goes and skips videos rather than actually
Oh, good.
pauses.
But yeah, if we already grant that children should not be watching porn, then this cannot be an argument. So here, this is the societal level, right? So we're asking the society, does our society want to have children watching porn? If the answer is no, then we can skip to the other argument. The argument that you're making right now is essentially it's not that big of an issue. And that's fair. Like I've granted at the start, you can have that opinion.
Yeah.
Then we can skip to maybe some other part where you might, like I would say, social media should be restricted for children. So, this is another thing where age verification might make sense, and then we can come back to this argument to then make the other arguments. But here, like, I cannot debate. Like, this is where an opinion can be an opinion. If you just believe that it's okay for children to watch porn, it's okay. It's a valid thing to believe in. So then, it's an opinion. There's nothing I can say to change that. And here, when we were talking about like the implementation part of it, my big issue was that whatever criticizing that you have to do with the implementation, if it's badly implemented, that's your lawmaker that's retarded, and all of the issues that you can blame currently on an implementation of age verification
But you also have to
will
rely
be
on this software developers in the first place to be able to do it the correct way.
no. I highly disagree with that. Why would you like? We're talking about something that is simple, right? We're not talking about
Sure.
quantum physics. We're talking about token and login that is referred to the government. You can literally do that with any Google login on the web right now. The description that I'm giving to you is the Google login. So
Yes,
you know when you
but
don't have an
that-
account, you could
They
log into
already
Google.
have put tons of developers' time into all of this. They make sure there's no way to really exploit it. But I understand your thoughts, and if you do a good implementation, I think that's perfectly viable.
Yes, like you say, they've put a lot of developer time over it. I think that people have been just making it something that is way bigger than it needs to be, because all of that technology already exists. It's already there. It's trivial to implement. It is I think that the problem that we have right now, not talking the discussion, but like the overall like people talking about this, is they disagree with problem here, with the problem of the base.
Implementation, really.
Not even no, they don't disagree about implementation. Implementation is an afterthought. Implementation is an excuse. They disagree that porn should be banned for minors, or that there should be any restriction based on age for any kind of content. They disagree with that, and then will try to use that in order to make arguments about the implementation. Because anybody that looks at the implementation part and stops for a second to look at how things are currently set up would see that the technology the technology has been there since it has been there for the last 20 years. I mean, the idea of having a token that is anonymized, that is generated like from a source token, like
Yeah,
since when do we have
hashed.
OTP? Like the one-time password is the epitome. It is like the end result of that. So for whatever time we have an OTP, then whatever time we have had the capability of that. 2006, RSA did it. Okay, so that's like one thing, but fuck. I mean, yeah, the implementation is trivial, and I think the implementation is an excuse for the prior disagreement, and it's just that people are a little bit too shy to say, like, we must agree, it is a little bit hard to say, yeah, fuck it. Children's gonna watch porn. What the fuck are you gonna do with that, right? It always sounds weird to say that. So it's way easier to pretend that there's some issue on the implementation side instead of saying what they're probably feeling the most strongly about, which is there should be no verification of the age in the first place. I don't believe that age should determine what content you see.
That's kind of where I lie. Like I just remember
Yeah, that's okay.
being under 18 and going and seeing that stuff and being like, yeah, this is reasonable for someone my age to see.
I understand that. I think the biggest and the best argument for age verification in general and limiting use of the internet would be for social media. There is no more brain fucking thing existing in this world than social media. Like there's two vectors of this. The first one would be the fact that you can have an algorithm that will produce exactly what you want to see. So if I go and see like
pretty much an echo chamber, yeah.
Yes. So if I go and see, like I look a lot of rage bait content for me. So essentially my algorithm is purpose built for everything I fucking hate. And when I go to my main one, it's everything I love. Yeah, the onion, that one's good. But yeah, so like this idea that people think they're getting a full plate of news. They're not. They're getting the purpose-built echo chamber that the algorithm is giving them, and they think they're getting a full view. So before, when you were watching something like Fox, something like CNN, you knew that when you were hopping on Fox, they're going to Republican the fuck up. Yeah, their bias is going to be insane. And you knew that when you were going to watch CNN, you're going to have a bunch of lefties. It's going to be like the lefties' point of view. So like this thing is a choice that you make, and you see it, you feel it, you know it. So no one is being like, no one thinks that it's impartial at Fox, right? No one's retarded at that point. But on your media, when you scroll your feed, you don't know that. You don't feel that. You haven't made that choice. So that's the first big issue. The second one would be the perception of people in relation of social media. So if you're, like, I'll take it from the view of my daughter. Like, she's 2, so she's not affected by that. But let's think about going to, like, you're a girl, your entire worldview is shaped by the fact that the whole world, well, essentially the whole world sees you as a sex object. Let's not fucking lie, okay? Girls are fucking seen as, like, their value is derived from how beautiful they are, and they're going to get like weird looks and advances when they're like way too young. So these things exist in the real world already, and then you go on social media and you see all of these women that are using filters, that are the prettiest women ever, and you are just a fucking wreck because you are a kid, you are underdeveloped, and you look at this standard of beauty that is physically impossible because these women are using filters, right? And you are going to look at this and think, I am broken because I am not to that standard. So this
it really depends on what content you consume, though. Like if
but
you
they're
don't go
always
on
to consume
Instagram
that.
or Snap, or like if you're not watching beauty videos, Like,
It's
if you're looking at more informative videos, people don't dress up for those like they do for, let's say, makeup tutorials.
the standard is still way the fuck up, right? When you
Hmm.
if you make an informative video, you're already going to present yourself, at least as a woman, you're going to present yourself not in your worst look. And this is already like just like you're I understand what you're saying, but this is a thing that is very hard to understand as a man because we're like completely divorced from that point of view. But little girls do get weird sexualized comments like from the age of 12. Like it's
Yeah, yeah.
insane.
I've heard of shit like that happening. I've talked to quite a few people
And this
that
is
have had
the
those
normal.
experiences or worse.
Like this is the normal. This is the average kid that will be that will be put on a path where they have to think about their beauty and their and how like they present themselves to the boys because the boys like they think about them as objects. So like it's all this is all wildly bad for the mental, and I can make the same case for a boy, right? A boy will look online and they're going to see that like they don't have an identity yet, but they're going to see that guy, that Andrew Tate type person, and Andrew Tate is going to say to them, you know, being a man is about fucking as much bitches and having muscles. So go out, rip
And
it out in
having
the
money.
gym, and having money and having a Bugatti. Okay, so they're going to come out and they're going to become that because he is a caricature of a strongman. And when you're young, when you don't have experience, that image of a strongman is appealing. It is appealing to have someone that is in control, that can just do whatever the fuck they want. But when you get older, you recognize that, oh fuck, like this person literally has achieved nothing in their life. They're just a scourge on humanity. They essentially rape people on like every single day, and they think that it's like okay. They don't bring anything good in the economy. They raise people to essentially rape other people and to well use women as as e-whores. So like all of that thing is bad, but we exposed our boys to this content, and the young boy mind, the young mind has no ability to decipher what's good or what's not good. So they're going to be exposed to that, and they're going to believe it. And there you go. You've just set out your boys on a bad view, and we can say, oh well, they're only watching memes, or they're only watching informative videos, or they're only watching. The truth is,
They don't.
unless they don't, and unless we severely like restrict what content they have access to through age verification, it's not going to change. They're going to go watch some meme on Instagram, and it's going to be like some racist thing about how blacks like eat chickens or something. I don't know. Like it's
Like, don't get me wrong. Kids really like to laugh at that, and even at my age, I still find that
yeah,
kind
it's
of
funny.
stuff funny.
Right? Racist memes can absolutely be funny. Okay, I'll be the first one to say it. I love my racist memes, but like we can also understand that if someone is inundated, if they only watch these racist memes, maybe they're going to start believing that it's not just memes. So that's the true issue here. Memes are okay, but when people start believing the memes, then you're fucked. And right now, sadly, your president is believing himself believing the memes, and he's pushing the memes, right? I mean, we had Vance essentially say, I don't care if the Asians are eating the dogs or not. It makes a story, so fuck you. So like, anyway, we already know in the US it's not going to be possible to solve that while Trump is in there, but like there's what I'm saying, the source of what I'm saying is children are not able to form their minds. And as soon as you realize that, then we need to go on to what actions are necessary in order to make sure that we don't burn them, in order to make sure that we don't create.
Maybe really the right goal for society is to bring kids less to bring them less online and more into reality, and let them play together and actually, do things kids usually do. Like spend their time outside a little bit, actually, get social interactions out rather than just sit in their house all day and not really learn how to talk to people.
Yeah, that's like the core thing that I got from my high school was speaking. Like I learned nothing in high school. I would say that my time there was useless if I'm looking at what I achieved or understood in math, in French, in English. But the socialized part, that's where it was worth my time. So yeah, we need to focus on that absolutely. But yeah,
And really,
that's
that
why
that just brings a lot more well-adjusted kids
yes,
into adulthood.
absolutely. And that's why age verification, I don't believe that the implementation is an issue. That's something that is like yes, it can be done in a bad way. I'm just saying that it's not like it shouldn't shelve the project. It's not because you can have like you could have someone taking the trash, like the people taking the trash, they could leave a bunch of trash behind and like destroy your flowers each time that they pass. We wouldn't say don't pick up the trash. We would say we need to change how the fuck they pick up the trash because they're doing it bad. And same thing is with the implementation part of this. But yeah, people disagree on if we should have age verification. I do believe that it will be necessary. I do believe for a social media ban like Australia does, where I think if you're under 16, you cannot access social media. That is, to me, like a given. I don't want my daughter
I feel
to.
like 16 is almost when you're most susceptible to social media, though.
It's because you need to have some kind of path to it, right? We must realize that we cannot say you're not going to have social media, and when you get out of high school, like magically, you're going to get all the social media like at one time. No, we need to like have some kind of path where they're still in school. And I believe when you're 16, you're still in school, right? In the US,
Yes,
that's true
definitely.
too. So you should be
In fact,
still
you're
in school.
until about 18 plus if you're going to college.
Yeah, well, I was talking to high
I'm
school
talking
precisely.
about school, just primary though. So when when I just got out of school, I was 18.
Okay. So if in that world, yeah, doing it at 16 makes sense because you're going to have 2 years where you're 2 years or 1.5 years, who gives a fuck, where you're going to have the time to review with the class essentially what's a good engagement of social media. And we can ban social media and still allow some small social media-ish thing that is done by the school, right? The school could have its own platform where they have their own like fake social media that is highly monitored. This could be a thing. I don't think that anybody would do this because it is a high liability, but you like could still make this and I wouldn't be opposed. My issue is that the crude social media that we have today, it is there to rot the mind. There is no your mind cannot independently come to truth. You need to be guided towards truth, and there's no guides right now. The algorithm isn't helping that. The environment isn't helping that. And surely the school has no fucking idea how to deal with that. So, yeah, that's why to me it's a given, but I do understand the other side. But here, again, you can have an opinion about the base thing of I do not believe that we should remove the right of a kid to have access to the internet. If you believe that it is a blanket right, I will.
Well, I feel like
understand.
internet itself is very, very useful to be able to learn stuff. But I wouldn't know practically anything about computers if it went through the internet.
Yeah, and we should not remove complete access from the internet, right? That's something that also is needed. Like when my daughter is going to become old enough, I'm going to show her how to look at real fucking sources, how to check government websites, how to actually make some research. So yes, she will need that. But yeah, in any way, like the TLDR, flock cameras is a decision of the people, the municipalities nearest to it. You can make the decision on both sides. I don't really care. Again, the implementation I don't think is an issue there. If it is, then make some legislation that makes sure that if there is some like that, you cannot send the data over to some foreign land or some shit. And essentially, same thing with the age verification. You can have a good opinion on age verification where you disagree that that there should be any limitation on the internet for kids, but here I do fall on the other side. I do think that the implementation are just vibes that are meant to the implementation stress are vibes that are just meant to hide the fact that one disagrees with porns to kid or some other thing. In any case, do you have any other question? We're fucking cooking.
Let me think for a sec.
Have you looked a little bit into the AI discourse, into the data centers?
I was literally just thinking about that because I just bought a mining rig from my friend's brother for like
Okay.
$300. It has 3 GPUs and plenty of VRAM, so I can go run my own local LLMs. Also, since we last talked, I actually now have a computer that works, and it's perfect for gaming.
That's cool. That's
And,
cool. Gaming
yeah,
is fun, especially with ADHD. Holy shit, it is too fun. um, but yeah, I don't know what your opinion is on it. I think that there's a lot of scaremongering on AI.
yeah, fear mongering.
Yeah, like AI is somehow this evil thing that is going to kill your mom. Um,
I think at most it's going to make computer hardware more inaccessible to the layman, and the bubble at some point will probably burst. Kind of like how the .com bubble burst, but it still stayed around. Like we still have the internet today. It's one of the most profitable things outside of going and having a physical job.
yeah, I think that that's probably the best way to see it. I think that the opposition that is the big thing that I'm seeing politically is the opposition to
Building
AI
the data
data
centers,
centers. Yes, and I think that
and
this is
particularly the water usage.
the water is to me it's retarded because it's not
Like
even true for the new one.
to be fair, if you use water, like keep in mind, almost all these data centers are 240 volts rather than 120, and 3-phase power. And they use a lot of power, so
Yeah.
they have to get this heat out somewhere. So they have to go and use a water cooling loop. And I don't know exactly how it works for most data centers, but as I understand, there is some water loss in it. And well, you don't lose water, it gets evaporated, goes into the atmosphere. But that water doesn't come back down where you got the water from.
Well, when we do research on this, we see that the data centers that actually did this, that did the evaporative, like
Water cooling?
losing water to the atmosphere, the
Yeah.
open loop, those are like the old gen. They are not being created anymore.
That's not what they're currently doing. It's closed
No.
water loops now.
Yeah,
They
all
actually
closed
have
water
heat sinks.
loops,
All right.
and
Yeah,
they're
yeah. I
like
don't really have an issue with the water usage in the first place. I was repeating someone else's argument.
yeah,
And
and like
honestly,
that.
I stand more on the side of data centers as long as it doesn't make it more difficult to purchase housing in high population areas.
Well, here maybe we will disagree, but just to state my position in full, I think that data centers are a net benefit. I think that the US public, and the Canadian public too, but the US it's even more stark, has a hard time understanding how they benefit from being the world's hegemon. So you guys have always had all the servers for AWS, for Google. You have always had all of this capital come in, and you take it for a given. And now that essentially this new wave of the future, of the tech of the future is coming in, people are scared about it, but they don't understand that it always was there. And if like an intelligent designer looks at this, they will want it to always be there. Canada is fighting to have these data centers.
You watch Mental Outlaw?
Mental Outlaw, I don't know his position.
He's a little bit lower down on your feed there.
Oh well, I can find it. But yeah, okay. I'll probably hate him if I look. But yeah, anyway, like it's.
He definitely uses a lot of the glowies and the low jabs.
Yeah, but
he mostly covers just like Linux news, what's happening with data breaches or whatever. Sometimes people on the darknet getting caught because they don't use proper OPSEC.
Yeah, my big issue with these type of people is just that, again, to churn out more content, they end up like playing with the truth, and it's a little bit like a Louis Rossment situation. But yeah, probably if I were to look, I'm going to say, oh, okay, he's like a conspiracy a little bit, and it's frustrating, but hey, what the fuck am I going to do with this? But
yeah, I got you.
Yeah, where were you
it's
going to go with that?
It's just interesting seeing him in your feed.
Oh, this is not my my
main
feed.
account.
It's the live channel.
Live
so
account. Yeah.
It's just a bunch of bullshit. Hey, man, but yeah, I mean, okay, so AI, let's build more of it. Let's make sure that it's done in a way that doesn't pollute like a fucking retard. Like, of course, if it uses a lot of water, we should seek to have the system that don't use a lot of water. Everyone agrees with that. No one is in a disagreement with that, even the AI companies, so much so that they have changed to closed loops, right? So this is not an issue. Where I think one thing that you said that I think is a vector of bad ideas is this idea that it doesn't cost more to people because of AI data centers. So housing and that type of stuff. Normally, you're not going to make an AI data center in a place with a lot of houses, but you might need to destroy.
Just down the road, like not just down the road, but like within within 100 kilometers less of where I am. I know there's a pretty big city where people were literally protesting about no data centers and what have you because they wanted to put one right dab there.
Yes, but here, like, you get that there's a factor of misinformation, right? So those people, if you were to ask them, do you truly think that they would know where the data center is going to go?
Oh, I could probably look it up and know where it is, but
yeah, you could. But what I would say is that most people probably don't know, and they just protest because they see people on social media that tells them that data center is going to pollute their water. I've heard that a lot. It's going to make their electricity bill way the fuck higher. It's going to get them out of their houses.
We only have so much electricity, so if you are using a shitload from our grid, then you end up with less for the rest of the world, especially during the summer when everyone's using AC. But
yes,
you
but
just
then
tell the data centers to turn off during the summers when we have high power draw. We don't really have that issue.
Well,
at least
that's
in urban
not
areas.
Yeah, but that's not a possibility, right? So what you would do if you were trying to maximize for all of this is you would actually create more production. You know, the same Biden electrification fucking bills that he was trying to pass, where he was giving away money so that people could have solar panels and shit and windmills. I don't know. Maybe canceling those wouldn't have been that bad. No,
I wouldn't mind some government assistance on putting solar on my stuff. Like I love the concept of solar and being able to just save it in some batteries locally on site rather than having to pay a power company.
But even the power company, right? In the summer, you have a high production when you need it, and these can still produce year round. They're less efficient, of course, in the winter, but still, like, it just makes sense to have more solar. But like the issue here, if there's not enough power, the issue shouldn't be, okay, let's stop progress. Let's make sure that we stay with the horse carriage here because we don't have enough oil to put in the car. No, find more oil to put in the car. Find more electricity. Make more, right? That should be at least I thought that was the American way. The American way was to see something that is essentially impossible and be like, fuck you, I'll do it. So when I see this...
Really, when I see the American way, I think of it mostly as just capitalism, where you go and see, oh, where is there a need? Oh shit, there's a need over here. Let's go meet that need and make a shitload of money.
Well, yeah. And why not apply that to power? So like, to me, the power argument is kind of useless. Like, I understand, oh my god, power is going to cost
but we
more.
haven't been upgrading our power infrastructure much. So, if we upgrade that, I think we are on the right path for data centers pretty much everywhere.
Yes, but that should happen, right? It should happen that we upgrade the power.
Doesn't
power
mean it
grid.
necessarily will.
Well, but then the issue is somewhere else. Okay, okay. Let's drop that part. It's not that important.
Exactly. I think there should be more data centers personally.
I think we agree on that.
Outweigh the risk.
And a thing that I would like you to keep in mind, maybe you have that in mind. You've probably heard some stories about like people having to sell their house because of AI data centers or power lines and shit.
That's because if you're trying to acquisition a whole bunch of area, you're going to try to buy people out. You can refuse to be bought out though, unless you have a fucking mortgage, and at that point it depends on how far out you are, and I think they can buy your mortgage and be like, hey, you're done here, get out.
Well, you can always be bought out. You can always be bought out through eminent domain. So like you don't have a choice there.
Isn't that particularly for governmental stuff like roads?
There's some state that it's stronger than other, but eminent domain, at least at the federal level, it needs to be a public good. And an AI data center would fit the description of public good, or at least the power line for it.
That would serve more people than just in the state itself.
I don't know what would make it a federal purview or something that would be within a state. I cannot speak to that. But here, one thing that I want you to keep in mind when you read these stories or when you see these stories, a lot of people will say, I was forced out of my home. Like, I think there was one, goddamn brain, Georgia, AI data center power line. This story is fucking crazy. So this person is essentially saying they stole my home because I'm forced to sell because they have to pass power lines through my property essentially, and they are forcing me to sell my home. Now,
but are they getting the full price of the house?
Oh,
like,
my
I'd
friend.
argue that's probably...
My friend,
What?
You're going to shit yourself, okay? So
I'm guessing they get paid out really well.
So in these situation, there's going to be appraisal and be offering and have the fair market value. So if you go through the legal route,
market value.
Wait a second. So if you do the if you go through the law, you're going to end up with a judge saying, okay, this is the fair market value, and you're going to be paid out the fair market value. So exactly the value of the house. But most data center company don't want to do that. They want to be faster than going to a judge. So what they will do is they will give you a higher bid, but that's after negotiation. So the first bid they're going to do is a shit bid, right? So for example, I live into we could say a $250,000 house. So if a AI data center company comes to me and says, "Hey, we need your property, we give you 250," I would say no, and everyone with a fucking brain would say no. But of course, every company is going to low bid you. That's their job. And after that, they're going to come to a negotiated settlement where they offer you something that is good for you, or else they go and seek the law. What she got, okay, so the first offer was 100,000 under what she believes the value of the house was. I hope we can find it. I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, it was on one of the articles we had open. This one, I think.
The other one
was
didn't
the
have.
first.
No, those ones don't have the full numbers. That's why I'm skipping them.
Gotcha.
It just said the 100,000 thing, but
Gotcha.
it is insane. I believe they got 250,000 over the value of the appraisal that she gave, and the appraisal that she gave was already over the appraisal done by the company. So you're talking about fucking life-changing.
A lot of people are theorizing the housing market's going to go way down in Michigan just because of the fact that there's something about, I don't recall exactly what legislation is about to go through, but in Michigan, I believe a lot of houses will lose a lot of value soon. So either, like, I assume that's not Michigan though.
I haven't looked at that, but 200,000 above the appraisal done by the person herself, and 275,000 over. Sorry, did
Still
I say under?
Value.
I said
dang.
Oh, yeah. So this person is still crying about it. They're still saying, "I wanted this to be
a new house."
Like, yeah. I mean, if someone comes to me,
sure, if this house has been in my family for a couple generations or even just one generation, I could understand it having sentimental value. But like, they paid you the 250K of sentimental value you got out of that house.
Yeah. Like, let's go on Google Map and let's have an idea of what that house was, okay? Let's fucking live in it.
I'd be very careful about going on Google Maps. It knows roughly your location.
Oh, I know. I live somewhere here. So who gives a fuck? But yeah, I guess we could do power. What's the name of the power company? Because if the power goes from there, like just to Georgia Power. Okay. Because we're probably talking about a house that is like, it looked like a $200,000 house. Okay, I'm sorry, it looked like a $200,000 house.
In Michigan, I know roughly what my house costs. It's somewhere around 500K, I think, and I think that house was 50 square feet more. So, like,
but like the place where
that's a completely different location. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we have an idea with the fucking map? What it looked like? I don't know if we're going to be able to find it that way.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be mad if I had my house bought out by a data center for a couple or 100,000 more than it's worth.
I would be so happy. Holy.
I'm sure my dad would jump on that opportunity immediately. He would not have a second thought.
Yeah, you're telling me that I'm going to... Like, this is life-changing money. I could literally stop working. I could literally downsize my house, invest it all, and because I live like a fucking roach, I could stop working. So
when you say you live like a roach, do you mean like just in the fact that you live very frugally?
Yep.
Gotcha.
But like, what are we talking about? Like, are we talking about that fucking type of house? Like, I just don't know what to like. I don't know when I see these people are getting like the most generationally life-changing money, and they're still yelling about it. And the crazy part,
Yeah, it's because there's always going to be people whining about it and trying to get sympathy online, or even just on the news.
yeah,
Like,
and
and
like
keep in
the
mind that the news themselves want to find people like this so that
yeah,
they can make it seem like there's a problem.
and it's just crazy. We like this is I
Like,
just
I'd
don't
I'd
know.
be upset if my house was taken uh, with just imminent domain, but if I'm getting paid a crap load more, I ain't gonna complain.
Yeah, like no AI company is going to offer you under market value for your house because they know like if they have to pay 50K of lawyers in order to get through to that shit and to be able to emanate domain your house, why not just give that offer straight away, like a higher offer so that you don't lose
Yeah,
out
and
on the
save like
time so that you don't
half the
the lawyer
cost of
fees.
paying the lawyers. Yeah,
Yeah, like they don't want this. So I hate this, and I'm sure if we look this, we're going to
like
fucking kill
it hurts
ourselves.
everyone if you go into court for it. Though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty big house.
Oh, Georgia
Oh,
Manor Road.
Manor Road,
Okay,
2480
248.
Manor Road.
Yeah, let's get into incognito. Uh, Google Map. Okay, 248 Manor.
What do
Road.
you use Gemini for?
Gemini is. Wait a second, I'm fucking that up. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. Gemini is useful to me to make sure that I'm not fucking up any research.
Yeah, so if you have your script, you feed it to Gemini and be like, "Hey, do I have any issues here? Do I need to change some
No,
things?"
first of all, I don't have a script, but you need to be very precise in order to get the AI to correct you on something, or else it's
Yes,
just
of
vibing
course.
out. Um,
Yeah,
but wait a second, I miswrote
and
that, right?
with
Manner.
your kernel videos, you have to do a script for that, right? Or do you
No
kind of
script.
just wing it and then put the do you set up the video afterwards, like the slides you do?
The slides are afterwards. So I have this. This is kind of a
Obsidian?
script, but it's yeah. In Obsidian, that's like
It's more like talking points that you have to hit, and
yeah. So
gotcha.
I do some research. I describe the research, and what's going to happen is most of the time I'll read either all of this out loud or I'll read it beforehand, and then I'll like TLDR it because when I understand the concept, it's way easier to like flesh out where it's complicated. But yeah, so that's the place. Can we find the house? Can we find the house? Oh, Georgia plant. It looked like a house that was made on the longer form. Where would they pass through? I guess they would pass.
It looks like
Ah,
it was in one of the areas with the greener trees.
well, we can just take a look. What's the name of the site? Is Willow? No, not Willow. What's the Zillow?
Not to be confused with Willow.
Indeed. I think we can just get the get a map. Not my home, you dipshit. Okay, let's go just city. That's Atlanta? We're not at the right place then. Fucking hell. Let's just look at the city itself.
You did say
It said the city somewhere under. That's the wrong one. Okay, in Newnan. Okay.
Probably look for a playset though I think the trees
bro.
might cover it, playset in a pool. Because it looks like that house had a playset in a pool.
No, there's like multiple people that they're talking about there.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
that's why. But here we have an idea. So like that looks like a further down house. So I guess if we look a bit further,
They probably got like 500, 600K out of their house, like for getting bought out and everything.
nah,
Holy
look at
crap, that's a small house for that much.
Oh yeah, they might have gotten 600K, but like we're talking, like that's what 600K gives you, and like that's the fucking trash that they live in. Sorry, I'm being rude, but like it's nothing compared to 600K. So I'm sorry, even if you're born here or whatever, like you're not entitled.
It ain't
to...
really worth that, but hey, good for you for getting the money.
Yeah, like this is it. Okay, this is it. This is their fucking
That's
house. Well, not their house, but it looks
It's
looks like
practically
it.
the same. So yeah, they probably got about 500K or something like
yeah,
that.
if they said that they got 275K above the Zillow price, so yes, we're talking about 600K. So these motherfuckers are talking about. Yeah, you're complaining about that. I mean, I would like to complain. All right, that was a nice tungsten meme that I put there. No, I was going to fuck off. So thank you for this nice discussion. It was a very fun talk. I'll be there tomorrow if ever you have time or the once. Cool. So if you want to have a good yap, I'll be more than happy to yap again. But yes, it was very fun. I hope that you had fun too. Good day to you. Good day to anyone watching. Bye-bye.